Okay, we are back. We are reading Woods Runner Chapter 3 today. So, like I said in my last video, if it were me, I would go ahead and switch over and get on the Google Docs that you can listen for the questions or listen to the answers for the questions, and you don't have to go back and forth. Okay, I'm going to read the questions for Chapter 3. Number 1, how was Samuel feeling in the woods? Number 2, what was Samuel hunting? Number 3, what did Samuel think the smoke was at first? Number 4, why do you think the author keeps mentioning the smoke? Make a prediction. So please be sure that you're using full sentences answering these questions and the questions about the social studies videos that we watch. We're still having kids not doing full questions and not flipping them. So if you are answering number 4, for example, why do you think the author keeps mentioning the smoke? You would say, I think the author keeps mentioning the smoke because, and go from there. So please be sure you're answering in full sentences. It's the same expectations at home that it was at school. So capital letters, periods, etc. Okay, so moving right along, we are reading Chapter 3 today. I'll let you click over. Okay, perfect. Chapter 3. The woods were never completely quiet. Even in silence, there would be a whisper, a soft change that told something. If you listened, completely quiet could speak words. Samuel had gone 5 ridges away from home, hunting, feeling the woods. Something was off. If not wrong, then different. The woods felt strange, as if something had changed or was about to change. Samuel shrugged off the feeling and kept going. It was hard to measure distance because the ridges varied in height and width, and the forest canopy blocked out the sun. He was hunting a bear, so he moved slowly and followed the aimless trails looking for signs of life. 5 ridges going in a straight line must have meant 4 or 5 miles. The wandering path he followed probably covered more like 7 or 8. He had seen no fresh sign until he came halfway up the 5th ridge, a thickly forested round hump shaped like the back of a giant animal. Then he saw fresh bear droppings, still steaming, filled with berry seeds and grass stems. He slowed his pace through the thick undergrowth until he came to the top of the ridge. To his surprise, the trees were gone, and he could see miles in all directions. He had hunted this direction many times, but had never reached this ridge before. The thick undergrowth in the summer and early fall had kept him from seeing this high point. He was amazed to find that below him on the western side of the ridge lay a small valley, perhaps half a mile long and a quarter-mile wide. The graceful chain of round meadows and lush grass was already perfect farmland. The treeless patch just needed rail fencing and a cabin to be complete. Perfect, he said out loud, like it was made to be used. A crunching noise near his rear to the east brought him around. The bear was 40 or so yards away, a yearling, slope-shouldered, dark brown more than black, like a large dog, and it was digging in a rotten stump on the edge of the clearing. Samuel cocked his rifle, raised it, and then held. He looked above the bear across the tops of the trees. Smoke. Thick clouds of smoke were rising to the east, almost straight to the east, a goodly distance away. Forest fire? But it wasn't that dry, and there had been no thunderstorms, and the normal cause of forest fire. There had been no thunderstorms, the normal cause of forest fires. Then he remembered that their neighbor Overton was going to burn limbs and brush from trees he had felled and cleared. The direction and distance looked about right for the settlement. The bear moved and stood and looked at him, and then dropped and was gone without Samuel's firing. Another missed kill. The smoke was in the right direction and at the probable distance, but there was something wrong with it. There had been something wrong with the feel of the woods today. He eased the hammer down on his rifle and lowered the butt to the ground. He stood leaning on it, studying the smoke the way he would read a sign from a wounded animal, trying to see the why of it. The gray smudge was wide, not just at the base, but as it rose up too, for a single pile of slash. That could be explained by wind blowing the smoke around. But it was still clear day. All right, he thought. So Overton set fire to the slash, and it spread to some grass, and that made it wider. But the grass in the settlement area had already been grazed to the ground by the livestock, and what was left was still green and hard to burn, and would not make a wide smoke. Would it not make such would not make such dark, wide smoke that it could be seen from how far? Maybe 8 miles? Smoke that would show that dark and that wide from 8 miles away on a clear, windless day had to be intentional. He frowned, looking at the smoke, willing it not to be what was coming into his mind, like a dark snake, a slithering horror, some kind of attack. No, he shook his head. No. There had been years of peace. Even with a real war starting back east in the towns and cities, it would not have come out here so soon. It had only been a week since they had heard the news. It could not come this soon. But even as he thought this, his mind was calculating. Distance home, 8 miles in thick forest. Time until dark, hour and a half. No moon, it would be dark. Could he run 8 miles in an hour through the woods in the dark? It would be like running blind. An attack. Had there been an attack on the settlement, on his home? He started running down the side of the ridge. Not a crazy run, but working low and slipping into the game trails, automatically looking for a turn or a shift that would take him home more directly. Home. An attack on his home. An attack on his mother and his father. And he had not been there to help. Deep breaths, hard, and deep pulls of air as he increased his speed. Moccasins slapping the ground, rifle held out in front of him to move limbs out of the way as he leaped through the forest. The green thickness that once helped him now seemed to clutch at him, pulling him and holding him back. An attack, and he had not been there to protect his parents. So go ahead, and that's the end of chapter 3. So it's getting good. Go ahead and answer the questions that are on that Google Doc. Be sure you answer the social studies questions at the top and then the wit and wisdom questions at the bottom. And tomorrow is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be reading a chapter, but you will see the fun stuff that we're going to be reading tomorrow. I will see you all next time.